Hello guys, so finally today we are doing a how to solder video. Ipapakita ko lang sa inyo yung tips and tricks ko kung paano mag-solder. Disclaimer lang, this is by no means any professional advice. Gusto ko lang i-share sa inyo yung mga bagay na ginagawa ko that makes my life easier when soldering. So let's get right into it. First, yung mga materials na kailangan natin. Of course, kailangan natin ng soldering iron, ng solder cleaner. I use this Eagle soldering paste. I always have some tweezers with me, wire cutter, and of course, yung solder natin. Yung solder na ginagamit ko, this is 6040 solder. It's 0.8 millimeter. Rosin core siya. I got it from Dico. So first, to start off with soldering, you have to remember that preparation is 80-90% of the work. What I do first is, of course, I strip off the silicone insulation of whatever wire I'm going to solder. The next thing that you need to do is you need to twist the wires together. So, pag bumuhaghag yung wires nyo or naghiwa-hiwalay siya, and sinolder nyo na siya, tinin nyo na siya, ay doon nagiging prone yung cold solder joints. So, ano ba ginagawa natin pag nagsasolder? Yung solder na ginagamit natin, it is a metal alloy. When we melt it into something and nag-solidify siya, pag merong air pockets dun sa loob niya, hindi siya nagkakaroon ng magandang adhesion, hindi siya nag-cool down ng properly kasi it has to cool down to one solid state without any impurities. So, yun yung reason kung bakit nagkakaroon tayo ng cold soldering joints. Now, to tin the tip. What I do first is I make sure that my iron is clean. I dip it dun sa solder cleaner ko and I actually dip it dun sa soldering paste ko. So, more on that later. What I do next is I put a little solder dun sa tip ko and then I touch the tip of my soldering iron to the wire. This transfers heat and then yung solder ko, first I apply it dun sa iron muna. After I do that and nakita ko na nag-seep in na yung solder dun sa wire mismo, that is when I put some solder to the wire itself naman para mag-flow siya as a whole. So, what are the pointers to know that you have a good solder joint? Or in this case, maganda yung pagkatin mo. First, it has to be shiny. Dapat hindi siya dull. Kasi, again, as what I mentioned kanina, pag dull siya, that is an indication of a cold solder joint. And that is not what we want. Marami ako nakikita na builders na puro cold solder joints and nagiging cause ito ng pagkasira sa build for something to go wrong and among many other factors. So, I'd like to talk about naman ngayon yung pag-dip ko ng iron dun sa soldering paste ko. So, I'm not saying that this is the most optimal way of doing it. I just found myself to be more efficient with this type of system. Now, when soldering more let's say, sensitive components, lalo na in a professional level, makikita natin na yung soldering paste nilalagay mismo dun sa component. Pero I find that for electronics that we do in drone building and quadcopter building, it is not much of an issue. As long as you keep your tip clean and do what I do, I think na you'll be fine as well. I've been doing this for a long time. Hindi naman ako malakas makasira ng tips. And it is just a very convenient way for me to add flux to the soldering work that I'm going to do. Now, ano ba yung function ng soldering paste natin? Soldering paste aids in transferring heat dun sa iron natin to the components that we are soldering. It acts as a catalyst. So, it streamlines the process as a whole. Pinapabilis niya yung pag-melt nung solder dun sa soldering pad. So, ngayon ang ginagawa na natin ay tinitin na natin yung tip nung soldering pad natin, nung race wire natin. So, what I do is I put the tip, dinidikit ko siya dun sa pad mismo, and then I feed in the solder dun sa pad na mismo. So, mag-heat up naman yung pad and pag nakita mo na mainit na siya, you can immediately put some solder into it and makikita mo dapat na meron siyang slight dome. So, because of the surface tension nung solder na ginamit natin, nagke-create siya ng dome. So again, it has to be clean, it has to be shiny. That is an indication na malinis yung solder joint mo. Again, ano pa ba yung function ng ating soldering paste kung bakit gustong-gusto ko siya? So, the soldering paste is actually a type of acid. Meron din siyang acid in place with it that cleans off any excess impurities dun sa soldering natin. So, of course, things get dirty and the soldering paste aids in helping get rid of that. So next that we've done all our preparation, it is time to solder. What I do is nilalapit ko yung wire na gusto ko i-solder dun sa pad na mismo. And then simultaneously iniinitan ko yung tip, yung soldering pad and yung wire at the same time. So pinoposition ko lang siya in such a way na matatouch ng iron yung soldering pad and matatouch ng iron yung wire at the same time. This way, we get to melt the solder easily. We get to melt it as fast as possible dahil in soldering, you have to keep in mind that you want to go in and out. Ayaw mo masyadong magtagal dun sa soldering joint na yun dahil when your components build up with heat, nagiging problema siya. So as you can see, yung pinaka-soldering part na ginawa ko, napakaikli lang. It took me a few seconds and I was out of there. I didn't want to heat up anything too much. Kaya it is very important to have your iron set at a correct temperature para hindi ka masyadong magtatagal dun sa soldering joint na yun. So what is the temperature I recommend? I usually go around 380 degrees Celsius to 400 degrees Celsius depending kung motor wires, FC, ESC, power wires yung ginagamitan ko ng solder. So, as you can see, it is a clean, shiny joint. You also have to take into consideration the amount of solder that you actually put. As you can see, yung sa akin, hindi siya masyadong matambok. Katulad nung isa na medyo matambok. Lalo na sa mga pads katulad nito sa race wire na dikit-dikit siya, ayaw mong masyadong madaming solder na nilalagay mo dahil lumalaki yung joint as a whole and it invites shorts along the way dahil magkakadikit nga sila. By limiting yung solder na nilalagay mo, you get rid of that problem. So basically, that's the end of my guide. I hope you enjoyed the little tips and tricks that I showed you. And I know that I rambled on a bit, especially when it came to more technical, a little scientific stuff. Pagbigyan na rin ako na medyo na-taglish konyo ako. But I hope you learned something. That was my primary goal. If you have any more questions on soldering and others, you could comment down below, or sa Facebook, pwede nyo rin ako i-reach or mag-comment din sa posts ko if you have any more questions. Comment down below also if you have any more videos na gusto nyong gawin ko with regards to something about this, like something that I do, and I'd be glad to share it to you guys. That's it. Thank you.